Hi everybody, welcome back to my little YouTube channel. If you're new to this channel, my name's Amanda and I'm a diagnosed autistic adult. I'm 40 years old and I was diagnosed with autism a few years ago, and I'm hoping by making this content, by making these videos, I'm going to help someone out there who may also be autistic, or you may even have anxiety, depression or other mental health problems that affect you badly, and sometimes you can feel really isolated and alone. And I'm here to tell you, you're never alone, and hopefully we can be friends. So I want to start off by asking, what exactly is autism? You might be autistic yourself, or you might have heard somebody with autism, or you might have read about autism or seen autism videos on YouTube, and you might be wondering, what is autism? Or could it possibly be that I have autism? You might relate to some of the signs and symptoms of autism. So today we're going to find out, what exactly is autism? Autism, otherwise known as autism spectrum disorder or autism spectrum disability or Asperger's, is a neurodevelopmental condition. What that means is we're born with the condition. It affects our genetic makeup. It's a genetic condition. It's usually passed down the family tree by one of your immediate members of family. It affects every single aspect of our lives. It affects the way we communicate with others, the way we see, hear and feel the world and planet around us. A lot of autistic people have probably said they feel like aliens on another worldly planet, and we just don't fit in, or it just feels actually that we don't fit in. And that's a really common symptom of autism. It affects every single aspect of our lives, but don't forget, we're all different, and so autism affects us all differently. I'm going to list off for this video some of the most common signs that you could be autistic. So the first sign of autism is a difficulty relating to others, and that can be just a difficulty understanding others, understanding the motives and intentions of others. It can range from not knowing what people are saying to us. Somebody could have made a joke to us, or they could be being sarcastic, or they could be flirting, things called social nuances that autistic people can find really difficult to understand. So we're firstly met with sometimes huge communication barriers that can affect our relationships with family and friends and loved one. So a difficulty interacting with others and communicating with others is one of the big ones for autism. Another sign of autism is getting really anxious in social situations. So that affects me really, really badly. If you're one of those people who prefer to be on your own in solitude, in comparison to maybe being in groups of people at a Christmas party, then it could be you're autistic. Now don't forget, just because you might be anxious in social situations doesn't mean that you have autism. But anxiety is usually one of the biggest co-concurring conditions that go alongside autism, and we really do, or a lot of us anyway, not all of us, me in particular, we really do hate to be in crowds and groups of people. Ugh, I'd rather be here. Another sign and symptom of autism is preferring solitude, preferring to be on our own in nature, like where I am now, and just being as far away from other people as possible and not being around others. I'd rather be here around the birds and the nature and the wildlife. I just hate being around crowds of people, like I've just said before. Ugh, sends shivers down my spine. I'd rather be around a murder of crows. Another sign of autism is being very blunt or rude. Now, you may know somebody with autism who you've asked the question, you may have tried on a Christmas dress or a party dress, and you've said, does my bum look big in this? And if you ask me that question, and I truly do believe your bum looks big in that, I'm going to tell you that yes, it does. Your bum looks huge in it. That's not because I'm being rude. That's not because I don't like you or try to make an enemy out of you. It's just because I'm very truthful. Autistic people are extremely truthful people. We take the world very literally, and we give literal responses back. So if you ask a question to an autistic person and you're expecting a little white lie, don't ask the autistic person. You might think we're being blunt or rude. We're not. We don't mean it that way. It's just the way we are. Another sign of autism is this need, this absolute desire for routine and rituals in our lives. So autistic people usually like to pre-plan everything we do, from the moment we get up in the morning to the moment we go to bed. And sometimes we can pre-plan things hours, days, weeks, months, years in advance, and we don't really respond well to changing plans. If a plan changes at the last minute, it can result in a meltdown for me, or I'll give you the silent treatment. Another sign of autism is a difficulty knowing when to interrupt conversations, what to talk about in conversations, and coming back to before when I said we can come across as being a bit blunt or rude. Sometimes we're constantly self-analysing what we're saying in conversations so we don't upset people, because the last thing we want to do is to make you unfriend us or upset you or insult you in any way. So sometimes it can be really hard making conversations, and sometimes we can interrupt people, and sometimes we can be so into a particular subject that we're talking about. For example, I'm really interested in birds, and sometimes I can talk so much about crows that people can get bored, and I can't read when that person's bored, so I can keep talking about it, and that can really isolate us from other people, because people can be thinking, I don't want to talk to her again because all she ever talks about is crows, and it's a really boring conversation, and so I'm not going to text her anymore, or I'm not going to phone her anymore, or I'm not going to invite her to any more parties. Another sign of autism, and one that really affects me, is making eye contact. So making eye contact and then maintaining eye contact with somebody. It's a learnt thing with me, and a lot of autistic people will tell you that they will make eye contact, but it is a learned thing, and it's usually a strained thing. It can be really difficult because it feels like when you're looking me in the eyes, you're looking into my inner soul, and I really hate it. It feels too personal. It's too much. That's all I can describe it as. There's no other words. Eye contact, direct eye contact is too much. I suppose it comes back to that animal instinct. If you make eye contact with a bull, for example, the bull's probably going to think that you mean aggression, and it's like that. We're all animals, aren't we, fundamentally? So I suppose in some way the eye contact things comes back to a fight-flight response or an evolutionary animal response, but I really don't like eye contact. It makes me really uncomfortable. Having said that, you might know an autistic person that looks you in the eyes, and if you met me, I would look you in the eyes most likely, and you'd probably think there's nothing wrong with her. She's confident like she sounds on this video now. And that is because it's a learned thing. I worked in the NHS, that's a massive health organisation, for nearly 20 years. And obviously if I was to look down all that time and not look at people in the eyes when I was talking to them or diagnosing them, for example, people would think there was something fundamentally wrong with me, and I wouldn't have maintained that position for the length of time that I did. So I learned over time that it was a socially acceptable rule to make eye contact in conversation, and looking down is really rude, so we're not to do it. So a lot of autistic people, we will make eye contact. It doesn't mean to say that we're particularly happy with it. It's really draining as well. So although you might see an autistic person making a communication with you and looking you in the eyes, we might be feeling incredibly anxious inside and constantly aware of what we're looking at. I'm going to tell you something funny before I stop talking about this particular eye contact subject. When I'm looking somebody in the eyes, I don't actually know which eye I'm supposed to look in. A lot of autistic people, we either do one of two things. We can stay well away from people, and we don't like people getting into our personal space because it feels too much and we feel overcrowded. But sometimes an autistic person might just encroach. Is that the word, encroach? I'm sorry if I've got it wrong. But we might just get too close to you, and we might get really close up to you, and we might just get into your personal space a bit too much. So when we're talking to you, we might be talking to you really close up about our innermost thoughts and feelings, and you might be thinking, oh, back off a bit. Just back off a bit, you're in my personal space, and that can be really off-putting to other people, and so it can really isolate us from society. You know that person, don't you? You know that person. Every single one of you watching this video knows somebody in their friend or family list that is a hugger. You're a hugger. Are you that person? Are you that person that would come up to me at a party and start going, oh, hi, hug you, oh, it's nice to see you? No, a lot of autistic people just know we don't like it. We are not hugging people. A lot of people that I know, the first thing they do when they see you is they want to hug you and touch you and be in your close personal space. The vast majority of autistic people, although we might do it because, again, it's a socially acceptable thing to do, and we need to come across as being neurotypical, we don't like it. We don't like the huggy, kissy situation. We like our personal space. I like it up here with the birds. So don't do it. Don't hug me and kiss me. Oh, bless you. If you are one of those people, that's absolutely fine, because I love you as you are. You are who you are, and you're a beautiful person. But autistic people, you know, we don't like all that huggy kissing. Some of us might. You might be screaming down the camera now saying, yeah, I like to be hugged and kissed, but I certainly don't. A lot of autistic people have special interests, and that's a real common one with me. Now, my special interests have ranged from all sorts of different things, from birds and crows, and I'm actually really still interested in crows to this day, which is why I come here. I love to come here and feed the birds. But special interests can be one thing, it can be two things, three things. We can have multiple special interests over our lifetime, and sometimes our special interests can be co-concurrent, so we can have so much going on all at once. And it can range from the bizarre, so different types of bacteria on a leaf, to the more common different species of birds. It doesn't have to be something that you've particularly heard about before. And now I know we all have some form of special interest in our life, but autistic people, we can take it to the extreme, and we can literally become mini experts in everything that we learn about, and we can spend hours and hours and hours, days, weeks, months. We can lose hours of sleep, and we can be knackered in the morning because we have literally spent all our time learning about our special interest. Now, it can be positive, because if we choose a career pathway that involves our special interest, we can become mini experts, or we could build our way up in society. But sometimes it can get us into trouble as well. So, for example, somebody might be interested in crime scenes. That doesn't necessarily mean it's a nefarious reason, that there's something fundamentally strange about that person. It might be that they're just genuinely interested in forensics, for example, but talking to other people about crime scenes and all that sort of stuff continuously, and that's what we can do, coming back to what I previously said, when we go on and on and on in conversations about what we are interested in, what we're happy about, what makes us happy. Sometimes people can pick up on that and think this is unusual, especially if they don't know you're autistic. So watch out for that. If you've got an autistic loved one with a special interest, or you're worrying about what they're talking about, it might just be that they're just interested in that subject. Do just ask them. And if they're into a special subject like forensics, just for example, blood types and things like that, just advise them that sometimes it's not the right thing to do to talk about those special interests to random strangers. I've made that mistake before, and I won't make it again. And before before we go, I want to talk about some of the signs of autism in women. Because although autism is the same for males and females, it's more commonly picked up in males in comparison to females. And that's because women tend to mask our autism symptoms more. We're better at socialising, and that isn't because we're necessarily better at it, like I've just said. It's just because we've learned to mask or hide or act around our autistic symptoms in order to fit in a society that is essentially a neurotypical society. So sometimes picking up autism in women can be more difficult than picking it up in men. And that brings me on to the subject of masking. Now, masking is otherwise known in the autistic community as camouflaging. And what that means is blending into your surroundings. So imagine if I was wearing a camouflaged outfit now and I hid behind this rock and I painted my face with mud. You might not see me because I'd blend into my surroundings. And that's exactly what autistic masking or autistic camouflaging is. It's where we purposefully and with an intent change our personality. We change our voice type. We might talk differently than what we normally would. We might laugh at something when we don't understand a joke. We might try and comfort somebody when they're upset, even though that feeling and that emotion feels foreign to us and we don't know what to do in that situation. We'll act around it in order to fit in with that environment. We might choose to copy somebody. So we might have a role model, Taylor Swift, for example, and we might choose to copy her makeup, her clothes, her style, her persona, her hair, everything about her. Just using her as an example, it could be anybody that you look up to. And a lot of autistic women do that. We choose another female, another friend, another role model, whoever it might be, and we look up to that person and we see that that person's popular. And so we think if we do exactly the same as that, we can fit in, and that's what autistic women do. And as a result of that, we can become incredibly good actors. And so it can be really difficult for doctors and nurses, friends, family, healthcare practitioners, and even the neurodevelopmental teams themselves to pick up if you are autistic. Autistic females can sometimes be really quiet as well, and we can really hide our feelings very, very well. So a lot of the time, in order to fit in and seem neurotypical in an alien world, if we're feeling particularly stressed, anxious or depressed, and if somebody asks us, are you okay? A lot of the time we'll lie. Although lying can be really difficult for autistic people, in order to fit in and get promoted and be accepted and have friendships, we will formulate little white lies and we'll tell everybody, yeah, don't worry, I'm okay. The situation is okay, I'm handling it. When inside we're feeling incredibly isolated, alone and anxious. So to sum up, it can be really difficult to tell if an autistic female is indeed on the autism spectrum. So if you think you're autistic, you can start by talking to family or friends. Make an appointment to see your GP and just discuss with your GP that you think you might be autistic, and they can get the ball rolling with regards to referring you on for an official autism diagnosis. I hope this video has helped you guys, and I shall see you for my next vlog. Cheerio!